Here, today's Amud is Amud Yudalit. We're on the beginning from the bottom of your Gimel and Beis, where the Gemara goes back to the Machlokes in the Mishnah Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, and we say it's from Prokim Shoyel. That was first Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Meir did explain that in the between the Prokim you Shoyel in the Akova, but what do you mesha for? So the Gemara says Machbas Mai. Again, we're in Shitas Rabbi Meir. Obviously, if it says that you can even interrupt to ask someone during Kriya Shema, certainly to answer someone, to be Meshiv, obviously. Is it necessary to say it? Okay. Unless logic would say that you can always reply to somebody. So then, Amos Sefer, again, if you're always asking the Yira, obviously the Meshiv to reply to someone is also, it should be mutter. That's obvious. Why would you have to say that? So you're only allowed to answer in the middle of Kriya Shema, smack in the middle, not between a prokim, b'nei kovid. So in fact, then, Hainu to Yehuda. That is the exact same thing Rabbi Yehuda said. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, be'emtza shalom ne'yira, me'esh me'kav, be'prokim shalom ne'kav, me'esh me'kav. So then, which can't be, because they're obviously stating two different opinions which disagree. So the Gemara answers, this is the machlokes. This is the bottom line here, Rabbi Yisrael. Be'prokim shalom ne'kav, ve'ein tzarech lamu shemesh enachanami. Rabbi Meir is very makbid. The rule is, the rules are the same. That's what he's trying to say. You can ask someone. If it's in between the prokim for cover, someone honorable that you need to respect, you can say shalom. Even though it's middle of Kriya Shema, it's in the prokim, between the prokim, and so too answering is the same. And answering is the same. That's the Meir's opinion. Yehuda's Mekel. Yehuda says no. And we drop it a notch for Meshiv. Meshiv b'nei kavod. The prokim shom b'nei kavod and Meshiv shalom kol adam. Tani Nam Yachim, we're going to prove this point that we'll see that this is the pshat. Okay, Rabbo is an example of someone who you're honored to, you're obligated to honor. So therefore, you show up near kovid, or even golimano. So biprokim, show. If it's you're between, you finished Avar Rabba, right? For example, you're show. They're covered. This is Rameir talking. So this proves our point. That's what Rameir was saying. That's really the proof that we're looking for. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, the Emtza Shalom Yira, Meishin they're covered. Prokim Shalom they're covered. Meishin Shalom Kol Adam. Okay. Now we've clarified the machlekes. Bottom line is, again, with the Ikashita of Yehuda, so paskin that if it's between a prokim, you're showing their kavod, and you may shift the kol adam, and if it's in the middle of the words of Kriya Shema, you can be shoyel with the yira, somebody you're scared of, someone very dangerous that maybe you're afraid of him. You can be shoyel, and you can answer their kavod, even to someone just because of kavod. Okay, now we have a shaila. Boy mineya. Achi, Tane de Be'ebchia. So, Be'ebchia. Achi, Tane de Be'ebchia. Rashi says, what does it mean, Tane de Be'ebchia? Shoyne Be'bayis Be'ebchia. He was one of the Talmidim there. This Achi was his name. This Achi came up with a good shaila. Oh, no, over here, we just started. We're on the top of Daf Yudal and Amud Aleph, and we're hearing a shaila. We spoke again. We're holding here in the sugya of whether or not when a person is allowed to interrupt the middle of Kriya Shema to say Shalom. So now that says he can't, and that which is permissible in the Mishnah. We're now questioning what about Boy Behalel. So we're comparing Hallel with Kriya Shema. A person saying Hallel, or for the same matter, Megillah, it's Purim, and you're hearing Megillah. Can you interrupt when somebody comes in? You have to honor. Do you have to? Can you interrupt? Mi amrinan. Kriyashma is the Rayis Paisik. If you can interrupt in the middle of Kriyashma, Halal, which is the Rabbanan, mi boy. By the way, this, interesting. This Gemara seems to assume that the entire Kriyashma would be Deraisa. Otherwise, or I guess at least part of. No, I guess it's not a right the whole thing. Even in part of it, which is Deraisa, you can interrupt. Or in fact, there's argument to be made that although it's the Rabbanan, it's pursuing Nisa, it's more Chomer and should not be interrupted for any price. You're middle pursuing Nisa, you don't interrupt. So the answer to the question is, yes, you may interrupt. Now, what does it mean? Chayra, it means you can interrupt as you would in Kriyashma with the rules of Kriyashma. Amar Rabba. So Rabba says it depends. And there are two types of saying of Hallel, as we're going to see in a moment. There's two types. And we also practice two types somewhat. There's Yom Shayachid Goyim as a Hallel, right? On Yontiv, we're Goyim as a Hallel. Right? Chanukah, we're Goyim as a Hallel. On Rosh Chodesh, we're not Goyim, right? So if it's Yom Shayachid Goyim as a Hallel, Ben Perik the Perik, yes, Poisek. So that, yes, that's still not that much less than Kriyashma. You could interrupt in between Prakim. But Emtza Perik ain't a Poisek. So maybe it is, in fact, more Chomer than Kriyashma. For Yom Shel Yachid Yom, but it's not really one unit when you're not being Goymer. You're leaving parts out. So that really breaks the unity of the Hallel already. So it's not quite really such a Choyev, obviously, Hallel. So then I feel Be'emza Perik Poisek. Uchar apparently being more Kal than Kriyashma. What do you mean? Now again, also even in Poisek means, even though in Kriyashma you're allowed to be Poisek, you're allowed to Meishib Bnei HaKavod, you have to be Shoyel Bnei HaYireh. In Hallel, if you're Be'emtza Poisek, you can't interrupt in the middle, maybe even because of Kavod, as we'll see in a minute. For Abba B'Shmuel Ika, in fact, the Kasha, there was a Meiser, B'Shmuel Ika, the Gabi de Rivino. He came, let's say it was Rosh Chodesh. Again, this is Rav Bar Shaba. He came with Sheri Yachid Zalo. With a possibly. And Ravina, you should have thought he came in, you should say Shalom Aleichem to him. So you see that even though why not interrupt your Hallel and say Shalom Aleichem? Kasha. So it seems like Hallel is more Chomer than Kriyashma. No, it's not more Chomer. You wouldn't normally out Kavod you would interrupt his Kriyashma. It's less Kal. It's not more Chomer. It's less Kal even than Kriyashma. So then why didn't he? It still has to be covered. If you don't consider him a Talmud Chacham or he's not Choshev, so then you don't interrupt. There's no obligation of cover whatsoever, and therefore there's no need to interrupt. You're not allowed to interrupt. Okay, Rabbi, say boy minei now v'nu shayl here. This is a new thing. Okay, we're in the middle of your dalam. We're now boy minei ashian to Tana to be Rabbi Ami. Ravami. He was also here, a student of Ravami, and he asked Ravami a kasha. Interesting question. Ashari b'tainis. It's a fast day. And you're fasting. Okay, so ma'u sheyitam. But you happen to be the cook. And you want to taste the food. That's how Rashi learns. Ma'u sheyitam. So what's the shayla? Now, that's not called eating, because now Rashi, the Tosfos explains also, you're tasting the food and you're spitting it out immediately. Of course, you can't eat on a fast day, but can you taste it and spit it out? You're just checking the taste. So why not? Because it's not because it's not a problem. That's not eating. What's a chilu v'shtia? It's a fast day. You want to suffer a little bit. You want to refrain from enjoyment. So you're hanok kibul, and you're still kind of enjoying the food when you put it in your mouth. It tastes good. So he says, no, it's permissible. One who is just tasting doesn't need a bracha. It's not called eating, but the same token, same idea. Same way you're allowed in a fast day. Also, you do not make a bracha if you're just putting food, tasting it, and then spitting it out. That's not called eating. We make a bracha. Oh, and similarly, here's explicit. You're also allowed to taste. Rabbi Ami told me ad shirvi. They said yes, but there's a limit. There's a certain point where you're stuffing your mouth with food. We can't call that tasting it. That's already, even if you're spitting it out, it's still that's full enjoyment of eating, and that's already borders on maybe what's called eating somehow. Okay, Zakti Morvait, another very important halacha. Amarav. Just like it's forbidden to sacrifice to even to Hashem in the inappropriate place, so too somebody who gives shalom, who walks over to someone and says shalom, we'll see exactly what the rules are here, before he davens, shachris, that is also bama. It's an incorrect honor that he's placing. We'll see in section M. The pasuk says, refrain. Adam. So here we make like a play on words. Not what is he choshev, eladikra bama. He's a bama. If you say shalom to him before davening, the bama. Shmuel agrees, but says a slightly different interpretation in the words. How is it before you were makshiv Hashem, you didn't daven, and you're going and saying shalom to a human being? How can you do that? Okay, that's the Gemara. That's halacha. It's like a psuka. You're not allowed to go over to a person and say shalom in the morning before you daven. So we'll see exactly when what. So, but first thing is Fektim Akasha. 1 second. We learned this in the Mishnah. Maser of Sheshes. Do we learn the Mishnah? Beprokim, you're saying Kriya Shema. Now, yeah, if you're saying Kriya Shema, it's fair to assume you didn't have a chakras yet. So beprokim shoyev b'nei kavod u'meishiv. So you see, you can be shoyel before tefillah. True, you can. But we said before that you can't. It's a bummer. It's terrible. So the answer is no. That's mashkin lepiskoi. That's if you say, you know what, I'm going to go say shalom aleichem. I'm going to go to his house, ring the bell, say shalom aleichem. No, that's also that's your bringing inappropriate sacrifices. By the way, the halach would be also if you walk over to a person in his makom, he has a seat or something, and you walk over to say shalom. So that's also. It would also be mashkin lepiskoi. It's also problematic. Now Rashi says, by the way, that that's if he walks over, but if he coincidentally bumps into him someplace, b'derech bumps into him coming in the hallway, and he says shalom. Technically, that's permissible. The place can say, don't do that. You're getting too close. So you could say in that situation, good morning. So that would be appropriate, but not shalom. Zokti Gemara weiter. It's also forbidden to take care of personal needs before you daven. That tzedek lefanov, you should be righteous lefanov. What does that mean? No, that's the raya. Tzedek lefanov, tefillah. Tefillah is tzedek. The first thing you should is tefillah. You're matzdik Hashem. I recognize and I appreciate what Hashem is doing for me. That's praise Hashem. That's tzedek. That's the fun of. And then you halach. Then you go do what you have to do. Go running around. You have to walk around. Go run around. Then. If a person davens, the Gemara says an unbelievable thing. You'll succeed. So if you don't, you're going to have a hard time. It's kedai to daven first. Now, you're supposed to have dreams. So if you went a whole week without a dream, there's something wrong here. You're ra. if a person is satiated, so he won't have visited by Ra. Altikri Sava, or Sheva, sorry. Altikri Sava, no, Sava, El Sheva. That's why we said 7 days without a dream is bad. So if a person, this is a little bit different point, but if a person is satiated with Torah, he learns up the Taisus before he goes to bed, the Marsha, and his head is fully occupied in Torah, so then he won't have any Chalaim Ra. He won't have a bad dream. He won't have bad news. Remember, Sava Yaldin Bal Yifkid Ra. Do it on the line. Look at the bottom of it. Elohein ben prokim. What defines ben prokim? Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Allah Rabbi Yehuda, the Amar Al Rabbi Yehuda. That's they're covered in a year. The Amar ben Elekechem leemes. I'm sorry. This is something. Sorry, no, it's not that Rabbi Yehuda. Amar Rabbi Halach Rabbi Yehuda the Amar. Like we do, you don't interrupt between Hashem Lekechem Emes V'Yatziv. You don't interrupt that. We've connected that to Hashem Lekechem, the word Emes. So once you did that, you don't interrupt. My time with the Buddha, see Hashem Lekechem Emes. Because the pasuk in the Navi connects Emes to Hashem Lekechem. Okay, we'll stop here.